Oh, we are recording. Sorry, I
Oh,
didn't
we are
realize I had
recording.
permissions. Okay, we're
Okay.
recording. I'll put a link to the agenda in the chat for everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. So, welcome to our first general meeting of 2020. So, does anyone have any announcements? We've got a couple on there, but I'll ask if anyone else has any first. Okay. Well, our announcements that we have so far are we're going to be getting our own Zoom link. So next time we should have that all set up. So make sure to check, if you've got this link bookmarked, we're going to have it updated hopefully for the next meeting. So check on the email Jason will send out about the meetings beforehand, and also on the calendar on the website, we'll get that updated as soon as we have the new link. Our other announcement that we've got is we're doing our first educational webinar today at 10 Pacific time, 11 Mountain, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a link on our website for that as well, or for registering for that. We're going to be doing a Sandboxes webinar, and a couple folks from Bywater are helping us out with that. And I think we've got a pretty simple bug so that we can go through it and not be too complicated. So there'll be time for questions as well. Moving along, our conference location voting is going to be next month. You have to be a member to vote on that. So if you are wanting to vote on where our 2020 koha-US conference is going to be, make sure that you are a member. We'll be opening voting for that at right after the general meeting in February. Oh, Jason put the link to register for the webinar in the chat.
And also to note on voting, I think John can clarify, but I think you need to be paid in full to be allowed to vote. Is that correct?
That is correct. And since it's all done manually, once I get notification of your payment or receive it by check, I turn around very quickly to make sure that happens. I don't wait until I deposit the check. When I've got the check in my hand, I go ahead and get everything ready, or when I get the PayPal notification.
But that also means if you're going to send a check, that takes, a little more time if you're mailing a check. So if that's your plan, we recommend you get on that sooner rather than later. Development submissions, those are open right now. They will be open through, we extended the deadline because we didn't get it emailed until last week instead of the first week. So we'll be open through, I'm trying to find the email here.
I think it was February 7th.
Yeah, through February 7th, so one extra week. So if you have any questions about that form, send an email to info@koha-us.org, and that'll go to both Rhonda and myself. Committee reports. So conference committee, we're already going to be voting on location next week. Talked about that. We are planning on having a booth at ALA this year, and we're going to be working with some folks at Bywater are helping some with that. And we should have more information as it's come in. If you're interested in helping staff the booth as a member, please let us know. Email the info at info@koha-us.org. If you're going to be at ALA and are interested in helping out for part of that, though we also have a number of people who are already planning on being there. And our Koha-thon this spring, our online conference that we're planning, we did extend the submission for talks. We got a few good ones, but we're looking for some more. So we've extended that through the end of was it the end of the month?
I thought it was the 21st.
The 21st, right, because that's when the conference committee is meeting again.
How many do we have so far?
I think we have 8 when I checked last. There's 6 on the form right now, and then but there's a few people, or 5 on the form, but there's a few people who have emailed me what they're planning on presenting after I sent out the email that we had extended it. So I know that there's at least 3 or 4 other ones that they're just still working on filling out the form. And Jason put the link to the form in the chat there for anyone who's interested. And that's going to be like an all-day conference where I think the plan is to start at 8 a.m. Eastern time and go to 8 p.m. Pacific time, and try to have something going pretty much all the time. If you have like a process that your library does that you think is really neat and you want to share that with people, then that would be a really cool thing. Or if you have something that you've presented at a Koha conference before and you want to, shine it up and do it again, do an updated one or do the same one again so more people can see it. We are planning on recording we'll be streaming it live and recording them and putting them on the koha-US YouTube. Anyone have any questions for the conference committee?
Can I add that if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, it's something you should do for Kohathon, because you'll get a notification when we start streaming. So if you forget about it, you'll get that reminder. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page.
Yes. Okay, development committee.
Okay, we sent out the form, and we're just waiting for developments. I'm hoping to get a suggestion from the acquisition users group that we can submit for consideration, but other than that, not much new.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. Any questions for the development committee?
When is the next meeting of the development committee? That's coming up, isn't it?
Oh, yes, let's see. I think we decide, wrong Google Calendar. Still the wrong one. Yes, we're gonna meet this Friday. The development meeting, or the development committee is gonna meet this Friday at the same time as this meeting, so that so if you have questions about the development process and you want to let us know before that meeting, so we can try to answer any of those questions and get back to you. And then we'll figure out our next meeting then. We wanted to meet a little bit sooner this time, just to, so if anyone started having questions about the developments, we could hit the ground running with that.
Do you know the timeline for that?
Yeah, so we'll have it open until February 7th, and then the committee will meet in February and we'll ask any questions if we have them. We really made the form do a lot more work for us this year, so we shouldn't have to do as much follow-up. And then hopefully voting in March.
Okay.
Education committee, Jessie emailed me because she's in another meeting. So Sandbox's webinar is today. So far we have 40 registered attendees, and people can still register at that link that Jason put in the chat earlier. Education Committee is working on starting 4 new users group. We've got people who have expressed some interest, tech services, systems admin, user services, and consortium user groups. So if you're interested in any of those or any other user groups, email info@koha-US.org, and we'll make sure the right people get that information. And then we're also still promoting Koha-thon and asking people to submit proposals. And we're meeting 1 week from today on the 22nd at the same time as this meeting. Any questions for the Education Committee? Okay. Todd, Fundraising Committee report.
Nothing currently. Looking forward to Koha-thon. So everybody, please try to put your best effort in. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me turn my volume a little bit. Everybody put their best effort in. If you've got, like, what's that said? If you've got an old presentation that you can pull out, dust off, and offer it. We are trying to fill up a day's worth of time. It's our first year out with this, and we're hoping to have a good turnout. But you know, hopefully as the years go on, if we continue with this, it'll get better and better. And that's about it.
Okay, thanks, Todd. John, Finance report.
Thank you to Jason for providing a link to the January Finance Committee report. Most of the time of the Finance Committee is obviously spent right now taking care of memberships. Our final membership count for 2019 was 77. And as of the end of last month, we had 15 members, although I'm very happy to report that our official number, that is to say membership that is paid in full, is double that now, about 15 days later, with at least 10, maybe even a few more than that, either invoiced or in various states of process. We're doing well financially, as you might expect, because we are out of our major expense period, though now with our 2020 budget approved at the board meeting last week, certain things that have been requested, like the Zoom room that was in the budget, or the request of fundraising for a subscription to, I believe it was philanthropy.org. I actually have to go back and look at my documentation. Will be processed relatively quickly now that I'm actually back at work. A few other things to note from the Finance Committee perspective. Next month, the annual report for 2019 will be released, first shared with the board at its meeting the first Wednesday of the month, and then shared with everybody the second Wednesday of the month. Though if you are interested in seeing what that report is like early, just like at all other times, anybody is welcome to attend the board meeting to see what the annual report has to say. When I wrote the 2018 annual report, it was relatively simple, and the 2017 report was even simpler than that. But now this one's going to be a little bit more complicated, and I'm not even quite sure how I'm going. I know what I'm going to put in it, but the pros I'm going to put with it, I'm not quite sure. But no matter how you slice it and dice it or put it through a Ronco salad spinner, yes, last year was a really good year for the organization, and I look forward to being able to report out our numbers to the group at large. As always, the Finance Committee is looking for a fourth and final individual, or a third member, if you will, that is not me, that is the chair of the Finance Committee. Many thanks, of course, to Candace Hope, who has served very faithfully on the Finance Committee since I became treasurer in 2017, and to Eli Anthony, who joined our ranks at Portland in 2018. One more person would be really nice to have for the Finance Committee. So again, if you are interested in serving on the Finance Committee, please feel free to reach out to me at treasurer@koha-US.org. And probably next month, no later than March, I'll be putting out a call for volunteers to audit the financial organization's the financial records of the organization. We didn't actually get an audit done last year because nobody volunteered. So somebody that is not a board member or on the finance committee, if you are interested in examining things or think you might have an eye in terms of being able to review the finances of the organization to make sure that everything is on the up and up, you're more than welcome to volunteer for the auditing process when I make a formal call. I made a formal call several times last year and nobody heeded it. So even though it's not official yet, I'm putting out the word early so that in case anybody thinks they'd be interested in doing that, they're more than welcome to get the seed planted and work with me a little bit earlier to make sure that we can get that to happen. That's pretty much it from the Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. Does anyone have any questions for the Finance Committee? Okay, let me pull my agenda back up. There we go. So, open discussion. Does anyone have any bugs or issues that they'd like to talk about today? I'm pulling up a couple right now.
If nobody wants to talk about anything, this could be the shortest meeting ever.
Ever?
Yeah.
If nobody's got anything else, I'll bring up a very specific issue with the cataloging module that's been a known issue for a number of years. I mean, it has to do with the advanced editor within the cataloging module. That is to say, the editor that allows you to work on the entirety of the MARC record at once. Going into the full screen editor changes one of the values in the fixed fields to make the record you are working on look like a monograph, whether or not it's a monograph. And that's very, very bad. Very bad, to the point where I don't let my staff use the advanced editor for fear of what they might inadvertently do to the records. So there's actually a bug for this, and I don't remember what it was, but this came back to my attention because somebody else discovered it, and then Katrine had, in her regular review of newly filed bugs, realized that somebody had just submitted a duplicate, so that brought this back to my attention. And if it is something that was fixed in 1905, I'm not aware of it, and it's certainly not marked as such. I'm sorry, not 1905. We're in 1911 now. If it has been fixed in 1911, there's no indication that this has happened. And my comment on that particular bug makes a specific recommendation as to how to not necessarily fix this, because it seems to be a coding problem. It was originally coded as an enhancement. This is not an enhancement. This is a problem. And I gave a recommendation as to a combination of bib level and type that could be consulted and reviewed to determine what should be used for the fixed fields. And George, it looks like...
Is that the one?
If it's got... Yes, this is the right one. Thank you very much, George. This is the bug I was talking about. In fact, when I first discovered this, I thought there was just something wrong with my implementation, and then I went to Bugzilla and found this and threw my hat into the ring, if you will, as somebody with a vested interest, because cataloging is one of the few things we use here. And for something so incredibly important, I'm surprised this does not get more attention, unless nobody's just using the full screen editor because everybody likes clunkily editing records by groups of 100. Or nobody edits their bib records, which is another horrific thought. But yes, thank you very much, George. This is the bug in question.
And it looks like that's already on our, the Bugzilla at koha-US.org is on the CC.
Yeah, I was just trying to check that's the thing.
Okay. Let's see. Well, not everyone was updated to 1905 at our last meeting. I know, George, didn't you guys update this month?
We updated on the like a week ago or so, something like I don't remember. I'm trying to find my calendar. It was the 5th.
Okay. Did you guys have any? Does anyone have any things they were excited about with 1905, or any problems they found with 1905?
Haven't found any problems so far, but we were later than everybody else.
And I'm
kind
actually
of-
still late. I haven't updated. I'm still running 1811 here, which is unusual. Usually I convert over just as Bywater is converting its customers over, and I did not do that this time. I meant to do it like during the last few days of December. Well, then I took 2 weeks off and forgot all about it. So it's time to shut the server down for about an hour is what I figure it'll take, and get us running on 1905 as well.
I think this has been one of the more smooth upgrades in a long time. We haven't had a lot of hiccups, which is really nice.
Agreed. Even as we were early adopters, and we only had a couple problems that were really affecting us, and some of them had already been fixed in like 1905-06, which just hadn't been released yet, and they updated us like as soon as it came out, and then we haven't had anything else. So,
I did have one epiphany, and I don't know that this is upgrade related. I thought it's been a while since I looked at the Koha built-in self-check, and I was playing around with it and doing a lot of tinkering, and I've been enjoying doing that. But I had to stop using it and go back to our other self-check that's done through SIP. One major difference between self-check done through SIP and self-check built in, I found that the built-in self-check, if you have the rule decrease loan on high holds, if you have your period adjusted for items that have high holds, a person that comes through that's got a hold and they're ready to check it out, if it's going to decrease the date on it, the loan period, it won't let you check it out through the built-in self-check. It will on the SIP self-check, which is interesting. So I don't know why there's a difference in that, but if anybody is playing with self-check or considering using the internal, that's one of the big differences I'm catching at the moment.
and there is a bug for that, it looks like, which is 18986. So if other people are using the self-check or interested in using the built-in self-check, you might also be interested in getting some traction on this bug. Yeah, because that seems like it should be able to just do it.
Yeah.
In theory.
Or there should be a preference to
or a preference, yeah.
whether or not that should be blocked or allowed.
Oh, well, so one thing that I have been doing is I had to rebuild my Koha dev box since November, right after getting it, functional for the first time in a year. And and I got that rebuilt, but I've been taking really good notes about like the errors that come up every time I have to set it up, so I don't have to go trawling the internet to find the answers every time. And I'm hoping to find a place to put that somewhere. Also, I wrote a patch for a bug yesterday or Friday, and I recorded my screen while I was doing it in like a OBS client, and I'm hoping to do some editing and put that up online as kind of like it's just a little template fix, some typo, fixing some capitalization or a typo, and put that up somewhere so someone can have a video they can like follow along on a really simple bug fix.
Cool.
So I'm hoping to have that up maybe by the next meeting.
I am remembering one little hiccup, one small hiccup with the upgrade. With the upgrade, they had changed the messaging when you check in. They've changed alerts because of how the cart works and everything, because it'll change locations. So there's some new messaging that comes in. Staff did not like that. I had to write some script to block a lot of that messaging. They didn't want to know about every change in location. So I did that, but with that new messaging, I think it altered or kind of got in the way of some of the audio alerts. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but on check-in, the audio alerts changed a bit. If there's an error or an issue with an item being checked in, it does not give the error or warning audio alert like it used to. So you may have to go into your audio alerts and tweak it a bit and work around those issues in order to get those audio prompts back the way they were.
Do you know if there's a bug about that one?
Not to my knowledge. I hadn't, amongst everything else I've been doing, I had not posted anything on that or looked for a bug.
It looks like no. Nope, that's not it.
I know there's a couple bugs out there about audio prompts, but I think it's something different.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything current about audio alerts not working. So, if you end up putting in a bug, if you want to let us know, we can add it to our bugs list.
Okay.
Okay.
I would talk to Andrew at Bywater because he was telling me that he's like fascinated by the audio alerts. He had like the Batman theme coming up on one of his check-in alerts, and he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff with audio alerts. So he might be able to help you out too.
Yeah, for Christmas, when we had an error, I would have it say "Bah humbug." So that was fun. But in finding out about the audio alerts, I had played around with it and managed to add audio alerts to the self-check too, which is interesting. The self-check doesn't have any audio alerts, and so it's kind of cool that you can add those. You can't add it through Koha, which is interesting. So I had to do it through script. I had to I had to figure out where the files were kept and point to those files when certain events triggered in the self-check. So I got that to work, and that'll be one of the things that I cover in the Kohathon when I do that.
Okay.
One thing I discovered, and I don't know if it was specifically, well, it was the fix that we finally got in for show items available, which was great. Our catalogers were very excited. Our public services people were very excited about that. But I was playing around with it and discovered a case where it doesn't work. So if you do a search and then in the facets, just pick any facet to limit by, collection code, whatever, and then select show only available items. That works. But then if you go back and select show all after that, to get back to what you had before, nothing. You get 0 results at that point. So I worked, I think, with it was with Lucas, and there's a bug out there, 24371, and that's actually pushed to master now. We got it through the process, but it hasn't been backported. So that one would be one that I think, if we can get that backported to the most, to the release that we're on, that would be great, because it kind of threw me off guard when I first ran across it. And I'm comfortable with Koha. I wouldn't want our customers to have that experience. But just so that you know about it, there is a case where if you do show only available and then go to show all, you will get 0 results if you've limited by any of the facets. That's just something I found.
I have a question.
I'm looking at it, and it looks like it was just pushed to master on Friday. So I bet if it gets backported, it'll be soon.
Soon.
If it can be backported, yeah.
You worked with Lucas on it, you said, right?
Yeah.
Because I think isn't he the release manager for 1905? I think. So he'd probably be interested in backporting that if he already knows about it and knows there's a fix. I think he's the release master or not release master, maintenance release maintainer for that one. Okay.
I have a question for the group. Speaking of searching, do any of you use your shelving location? Do you have your shelving locations turned on for advanced search? One of the things that I have noticed with that, I just started playing with that a little bit. I noticed that if you have shelving locations that are limited to a particular branch, like we have a bunch of shelving locations, but they are some are specific to branches, and so we limit it to those branches. So when we have catalogers cataloging, they don't have to sift through all of those shelving locations that they don't use. If you turn on your shelving locations in searching, if you go into advanced search and look at your shelving locations, on the OPAC it's fine. On the staff side, it limits those shelving locations, and that's kind of weird. I submitted a bug on that because it's great for it to limit it for the catalogers, but as far as searching, if you're on the staff side and you're searching shelving locations, if you're trying to track down something and there's similar shelving locations and you don't see them, you're not going to hit them. So it's kind of weird that it's omitting those shelving locations. So if you use shelving locations in limited places, be aware that they will not show up on the staff side when doing an advanced search.
We do use shelving locations. We use them to discriminate between adult, youth, and adult, child, and young adult items for statistical purposes. But that also makes it easy for people to limit, by those categories in the advanced search, and that's something I've noticed too. But I've never worried too much about it. We only have 3 locations that are limited by branch. So, but if you wanted, if it'll take a development to fix that, let me know, and that's something that we might be able to help fund.
Did you say you had a bug on that, a bug number?
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull it up.
It's 24422, and I put it in the chat there.
Thank you. You're fast. You're gonna have to teach me your skills.
I just search while people are talking, and then by the end I've found it. Okay.
He's really a Jedi.
I have one that I would like help figuring out if I thought there was a bug out there, but I haven't been able to find it. So in the case, we have collection codes and we hide some of them from in the OPAC. But if you do a search and you come across records that have those hidden items in their record, they will still show up in the facets on the side. For example, Lucky Day, we've got a Lucky Day collection and we hide that from the public because we don't want them calling us and saying, hey, can you reserve that for me? But when you do a search that includes a book or DVD that is in the Lucky Day collection, Lucky Day shows up in the facets on the side. Does anybody remember? I remember somebody else talking about it, but now I can't find it.
I assume you're talking about on the OPAC side?
Yes, sorry, yes, OPAC.
Dubuque talked about that at the Koha-Con in Portland, and I wrote some jQuery for them that I don't know if they're using or not, but somewhere I have jQuery written that you can plug into the OPAC user.js and set the text of what appears in the OPAC, and it'll make those things disappear.
That would be fantastic.
It also looks like there is a bug 14007 about item types. But there's some discussion on there about that it should only count things that aren't hidden, and kind of why it works, why it happens that way. But I would guess it's probably similar logic that checks for both because you can do a lot of different things in OPAC hidden items. It's probably the same logic would check if that should be hidden or not. But that would probably be at least a bug number to start with. It doesn't look like there's one specific. 14007, and I put a link in the chat.
Okay.
There wasn't anything specifically about collection codes, but for item types, so.
Okay. Yeah. And George, if you run across that, I would appreciate getting that code.
Yeah, I'll try and find it.
Okay, thank you.
And I think I might know where it could possibly maybe be. If not, it'd be really easy to recreate. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I just added Bugzilla at koha-US to 14007. So.
Thank you, George. If we don't have any other bugs or issues, we can talk about our ongoing discussion of breaking the Linux barrier. It's been a while since we've actually had time to get to this because it's at the bottom of the agenda. But so for anyone who isn't familiar, just a lot of people are not comfortable with Linux, and especially working in Linux to do like development and signing off in like a dev box. And so I guess that's why one thing I was doing was recording as I was doing a bug, just a simple patch, because it's good to get like a good way to get familiar with how to work in, finding the different templates or pages that you need to be editing and doing like a little bit here and a little bit there until you can be more comfortable and move on. I thought of it after I had finished setting up, or was like 90% done setting up my box, that I should have recorded that process so that if someone wants to go through and watch it, or maybe that's something, maybe I'll try to do something like that for Koha-Thon on another computer. We'll see.
It would be good, because I know that there are some common things that we do in the dev box that you know, you get instructions, oh, do this, but you don't really understand what it is that you're doing. It would be good if we had something that kind of explained what it is you're typing in and what it generally does, you know, not just in this particular case, but just in general, what is it, you know, what are these commands and these things that we're typing that, you know, just are really foreign to us.
Yeah, that's good because I know like my notes, some of it I can understand, you know, like make directory, change CD is like change directory, so that's like which folder you're in. Copying things. But then some of the later stuff that you're getting, especially if you're on some of the error fixing that I did, I just like went and found if you're getting this error when you're setting up something in Linux or something in VirtualBox using Vagrant, like these are the commands, and some of them are, you know, like sudo apt install python pip. I don't know what the apt part means. I can guess that that's the, you know, I know sudo's the root user. Something.
Apt is the package manager.
Ah, see? So
You
if we
can
had,
install the package.
so probably between all of us who do at least some of that and some work with Linux, we could come up with something. That's a really good idea, Christopher. Also, we did have, there's a, let's see, where is that? Somewhere I have saved, it's a, like a where you can put in Linux commands and it breaks it down for you. It's a website. Because we were talking about, it might actually be linked somewhere on the education pages.
That'd be really good if it also highlights the various flags that can be set.
Let's see, and it's not Koha specific, you know, so it's just kind of like, you might have put it, oh yeah, so explain shell, it's on the koha-US website under like setting up Koha, and then it's just a helpful link, but then you can put in like sudo apt-get python, and I can share my screen maybe. And it'll say like sudo is execute the command as another user. Apt is the advanced package tool, and if you click on it, it'll show you more, but it's nice because it kind of breaks down. Here, this doesn't. Then if there's a question mark, sometimes, you know, it doesn't have everything. But also that might have not been, oh, just install python pip. So yeah, it still doesn't grab the install, but then if you wanted to get more information here, like it has a lot of information about sudo and then different things that, you know, if it requires a password specified, here are all these different, lots of different options here with it. So that might be a good tool. And it was something, Christopher, that the Education Committee had talked about maybe at one point, but then we kind of decided it would be a big project. Explain Shell is actually open source, and some projects have their own forks that have specific commands for their projects. And so we had kind of talked about doing like a Koha explain shell. And I wonder, you know, at the time, the Education Committee didn't think that we had enough people who knew enough about it to do it. But we might want to also talk to, now that there's the International Education Committee, that might be something we could work with more folks on. And so I will take a note of that for our next meeting we have with them. And that might be a good way to work on breaking the Linux barrier, just making that information more accessible for people who are starting out. Okay. seems like we're wrapping up a little bit early here. The webinar's in about 40 minutes for anyone who's attending that. And
I've got one last thing that I'll
Okay.
mention. Christopher, I mentioned to you that he wasn't getting conference committee emails, so I just added him to the list. It probably, I'm thinking, wouldn't be a bad idea to go in and audit each of those lists. So why don't I do that for the people that are the chairs of those committees?
did you add him to the conference or education?
I thought you wanted to be on the conference committee, Christopher, or was it? Oh, I screwed up. All right, so take
Education
Christopher
only.
off. Okay.
He had enough fun a few years ago.
All right, I'll take you
Give
off of
myself
that
a
one,
break.
but I'm thinking that wouldn't be a bad idea, so I'll take care of that by the next meeting, so that each of the chairs of the committees has like a list of who's actually on the mailing list.
Sounds good. Thanks, George. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. Our next meeting will be February 12th, same time, and in our new Zoom room. So make sure to watch the email and check the website for the new link, which we'll have up as soon as we have it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.